Поки не впускай, хай повисить.
Да, добре, без проблем. Якщо буде можливість пускати деяких спікерів, то буде клас. Якщо ні, то я пущу. Ну, вже під час ефіру. І я запустив музику.
Так, дивись, я можу запускати. Єдине, що я зараз прийму Сліпцову, хай вона керує, типу, кого запускати, коли. Бо я б зараз не запускала, але не бачу сенсу.
Да, звичайно, звичайно.
Настя, привіт.
Привіт.
Ти мовчить. А ми хотіли тебе заонбордити, а ти мовчиш.
Привіт. Я Ілоні казала Лін.
Ага, коли гратиме музика, це означає, що ми не в прямому ефірі і там грає заставка.
Угу.
Угу.
І вже в нас висить ALIPH, перший спікер. Так.
Ага.
Але ми його не пускаємо. Можемо його не пускати, щоб він тут не теліпався?
Так, а він у нас по таймінгу.
Не зараз.
Так, я пропоную, щоб Оксана написала йому, щоб він чекав, щоб він не відвалився.
Аж в 17:59 він. Я його, типу, Сандра. Правильно?
Угу.
Я знаю, що в 17:59 Сандра залів тільки. А зараз 17:33, через півгодини.
Да, але
Так, написала Оксані.
я теж. Від Оксани. Так, а йде Ілона.
А чого це Digitizing Space ще вирішив так рано зайти?
Ілона, ось.
Я під'єднала Ілону. Ребята, чого всі спікери заходять на початок?
Ну, питання до Оксани.
Угу.
Не до мене. Вона її приховала. Напиши, най скине їм лінк на трансляцію, і най вони будуть в вейтінг-румі в Zoom. Можна я перевірю картинку? Ой, давай Ілона заставочка.
Я губи нафарбувала. Все ж заради...
Діма, нас чути в англійському стрімі.
Що?
Нас чути в англійському стрімі.
О, і дайте мені заодно...
Так там зараз не перекладається, просто там буде ваш голос і переклад зверху.
І почнеться переклад. Скинете мені лінк на англійський стрім, я поділюся з нашими англомовними слухачами. Принаймні деякими з них.
Так.
To adapt to our everyday realities year after year. And I think that I will start with just a couple of words of introducing you of why we call ourselves the hackathon, because we think that it's a very interesting story, because we started as an original format that was not a hackathon, but was not an ideathon, and we do not like to call it as marathon. So we invented this format together with our team in a very close collaboration with the House of Europe team. We have this tech and culture collaboration together, even inside of the team, which is very good, which gives us a lot of new insights and ideas every time. So you know that the hackathon, that's from the work from the house word in Ukrainian, so it used to just mean, working remotely, working in your home space, but right now it also has a meaning of your motherland, of your land. And I'm really happy that we have so many people joining us from year to year. We're generating very interesting, useful, and creative projects time after time. I wanted to invite Ilona Demchenko to tell us a little bit more about her experience through Hackathon, to give a couple of advice to our participants today and before we start the program with our speakers. So hi everyone, thank you very much, Nastya, thank you very much. And I'm going to start with that, like I'm really grateful to all of the team who have joined their efforts to make this possible, to make this happen. We're all here together in this circle. I think that we have seen that we had 1,300 registration for this hackathon. And actually all the time we are really happy that we have new people coming. But for me, it's also about having the same people joining us every year, the one that started with us. So, this is an event that gets all the people together, the people who know each other. So, we're virtual friends, even though we were not able to talk to all of our participants. It's a very big event of a big scale, but still I don't have this feeling that, I'm talking into the emptiness from my laptop and I'm addressing the people I have never met. I have this feeling that it is a very friendly and amicable atmosphere. I hope that for the people who have joined our hackathon for not for the very first time, that you have also had this feeling that you're getting back to something that you already know and something that you already love. But at least we would really like you to have that. Speaking about my experience with hackathon, I just wanted to say that, for me, that's a very important project, the one that gives our vitality in life, because we have a lot of projects, and we have a lot of projects in the House of Europe, the one that have been created through a certain plan that they're developing towards specific indicators, goals, and all of the other things that which are very important. And we're trying to reach everything as we go. But the hackathon, for me, that's a very important moment because it has grown from the force majeure situation. Because I think we made the first hackathon in 2 weeks during the COVID. That was like in a minimum time. It took us minimum time. So that was very, very cool. So every year after that, we had this conversation like, are we going to do the hackathon this year? The conditions that got even worse or everything is really bad right now. So then every year we are making this decision that yes, we have to make it again. So we are inspired every year, year after year. And right now, as a person and as a representative of the organization that co-authored the idea and this great format. So for us, that is a great opportunity all the time. And it is a great pleasure for us to work on this project together with the Digitizing Space and with all of our participants. This year, the topic is very important for us as well, because Nasta has started talking about that, but the cultural heritage topic is a very important topic for our situation right now in the cultural sector in Ukraine due to war. And we understand, so just like 2 days ago, we just one of the examples that has happened, and we have seen the shellings of Odessa just a couple of days ago, and but right now we know that there has been a lot of locations that have been damaged, that were the part of a cultural heritage in Ukraine. But the European organizations, that we represent today, that I represent today, we're planning to work with this topic, and we really would like to provide the support as much as we can. Of course, while there is the full-scale military actions taking place, we cannot guarantee anything at all. That's just as good as I do. But this topic is of high priority for all of the cultural organizations that are working right now in Ukraine. You're going to hear that from our speakers as well. But just for the first spoiler, I just wanted to say that this year and the next year, we're going to have more projects on cultural heritage, not only the hackathon this year, but I think our hackathon is going to be the first step into that. So for us, it is important to check what are the ideas among the audience, what is it that they want, what is it that they need, what is it the support they need, and what kind of projects they would like to implement. So, I started very on the bright side, but now got into some tragic ideas as well. But I do believe that today is a good day for all of us. It's a happy day for all of us. It's a happy day for us as well because this is an online hackathon format and we've started it and launched it when the part of the audience were not able to meet each other physically because we were all at home, we're in different cities, but now we have the different challenges and this hackathon remote format was really successful as well. Because I know that the people who are currently listening to us might not be in Ukraine or might not be in the same cities in Ukraine they then used to be 2 years ago. That's not a very nice thing as well. But the good thing about it is that we can still be together, at least online, and we can work together online as well. We can work online together in those places for those places that we have no physical access to. We're going to have the physical access restored to those locations and we're going to be successful with that as well. I think this is a good thought for us to start with, and I would like to advise you to concentrate for the future because we understand that the current situation is quite challenging, and we have to consider it minute by minute. But in order to go through these harsh times right now, it's important to have a milestone in the future. And our light for the future is something that a lot of things that we're going to consider today during this hackathon is going to be implemented in the future. We're going to find some opportunities to implement all of the ideas that we're going to be discussing during the hackathon. Together or alone, that doesn't important. Important that we're going to generate these ideas now. So my advice would be stay with us, communicate to other people, look for something that inspires you, and start at the points that and the moments that you can help with. Depending on what you need to let go, the energy or the stress, let us draw it into the good direction. So, okay, I think that Nastya is smiling broader, and I think that I should switch to the next point of our agenda. And I'm going to do that really happily. I wanted to say that from the side of the House of Europe, we've had a lot of changes compared to the hackathon that we'd done last year. You know, in our team, as team has said, we've had a change in our team. If you have been with us for many years, that you remember Christian Dimas had used to lead the House of Europe throughout the first 4 years of our work. Christian right now has a different position, and we're really sending him the best of wishes. Maybe he's joining us in some way or watching us. Christian, if you're watching us, we're sending you highs and the warmest wishes from Ukraine. We were really happy to work with you before. Right now, in our project, the House of Europe has a new leader. We have Franziska Simon. She's already and has led our project for a couple months already. So on one hand, she's just started. On the other hand, she used to be collaborating with Goethe-Institut in collaboration with European institutions. So she is quite aware about the situation with the European impacts and cultural impact in Ukraine and the situation with project. She used to live in Kyiv, and she was in Kyiv during 2022. She met most of us during that time, and she's a great friend of Ukraine. And we're really happy that the person who now is guiding and leading our project is a good friend of Ukraine as well. So we will have a video from Franziska today, and I think that's going to be now. So I will pass the floor to her.
Hello and welcome to the Hatathon Ukraine Heritage Edition, jointly organized by House of Europe and Digitizing Space. I'm very pleased and honored to say some words within the framework of this opening, and I'm also really impressed by the high number of interested people. I'm pretty sure that most of you already know House of Europe, that is an EU-funded project implemented in Ukraine since 2019 by the Goethe-Institut. Nevertheless, I would like to take the opportunity to say a few words about House of Europe. House of Europe aims since 2019 at supporting Ukraine and especially Ukrainians working in the fields of culture, creative industries, media and education by giving them opportunities to develop their skills further, by giving financial support to realize projects, by connecting with counterparts in the EU, and as an overall objective, by supporting Ukraine in its accession process to the European Union. Hatathon is actually a format that has been developed in the COVID pandemic, and it showed to be really, really successful. During the last 3 years, we were able to organize 3 hackathons. In 2020, this was the first hackathon. It was named Hack the Culture. This hackathon helped to create ideas on how to help the cultural industry survive the crisis of the COVID-19 pandemic. 1 year later, the aim was to adapt culture to post-lockdown reality. And last year, in summer 2022, it was dedicated to give a tech-driven impulse to the development of cultural and creative industry of Ukraine. Now, in July 2023, we are already facing 1.5 years of full-scale Russian invasion in Ukraine. And we all know that this war has the declared aim to erase Ukrainian culture, Ukrainian language, Ukrainian life, Ukrainian identity. Thus, cultural heritage has a special significance in this context. The destruction of Ukrainian cultural heritage is a strategic part of the Russian campaign of destruction. Since the beginning, the list of destroyed Ukrainian cultural sites such as museums, churches, libraries, and monuments gets longer. So the need to preserve and save Ukrainian cultural heritage and to keep it being visible in Ukraine, but also outside of Ukraine, is now more important than ever. One important step to do so is its digitalization, and this is why we dedicated this fourth hackathon to the digitalization of cultural heritage. The aim will be to bring you, people of the cultural field and from the tech scene, together and to give opportunities to network, to connect, to learn from each other, to create new ideas and projects. So I really would like to thank the EU delegation to Ukraine and the House of Europe team, and especially my colleague Ilona Demchenko, who, together with Digitizing Space, also a big thank you, created this wonderful fourth hackathon. So I'm wishing you all, or all of us, a very fruitful and interesting hackathon that brings new and inspiring ideas.
Дякуємо, Франциска. Ми
Так, дуже дякуємо, Франциско, за привітання. Тепер ми можемо вважати, що ми офіційно почали.
Так. Ми офіційно почали, але перед тим, як ми розпочнемо, знову ж таки, нашу офіційну програму з запрошеними спікерами, тому що, знову ж таки, Франциска, вона ще член нашої команди, ми б хотіли дати слово моїй співзасновниці.
Ще одному члену нашої команди.
Слухайте її уважно, тому що ця людина створила методологію колаборативного процесу, які всі з вас пройдуть протягом хататону. І я хочу запросити сюди Анастасію Слонок.
Друзі, всім привіт! Рада вітати вас вже в четверте на нашому онлайн-марафоні. Дуже знаково і дуже круто, що ми з року в рік зустрічаємо як вже знайомі обличчя, як було сказано, дівчатами, так і нові обличчя. І зараз стільки, що буквально наша ком'юніті-менеджерка, з якою всі наші учасники так чи інакше будуть знайомі, ви від цього не відвертитесь, сказала, що ми наразі маємо 91 команду, що в принципі непогано, але я знаю, що ви можете краще. Хочеться сказати, мабуть, пару таких дуже практичних якихось настанов, які точно вам допоможуть зробити ваші проекти краще. І
It will definitely help you to be better. And there's definitely going to have this week very good and fun, in even despite the world that we're living through right now. And I hope that each and every one of you are going to get out of this hackathon with new knowledge, that because you're going to have the educational program and we have invited the good speakers and practitioners who are definitely going to help you to get something new to your project, to your artistic ideas, to make them more tech-savvy. And then when we're going to have the whole idea with the mentorship, the idea with working on your project tirelessly, then if you haven't yet applied for your project, haven't yet provided your idea, if you haven't yet got your team settled, so please try to be more proactive in Slack. Please introduce yourself, search for a team, register your team in our database for knowledge and projects. So all of the links for all of the materials you have available in the guidelines. Be proactive. So, it's only up to you to know who do you need in your team. So please try to not to lag behind. I have a lot of faith in you because you still have a couple of days to sign up your team into a document, and then we're going to set out your team mentors. We have a lot of team mentors available, so we're sure that each of the team will have enough, and we have invited our great experts, the one that you're about to meet throughout the hackathon. And I think another thing from myself, because every time you think about it, like what new can you use except for the new topic? But all the time it's about the new experience, it's about the new stories, it's about the new projects coming up, it's about the new inspiration. And it's also about the new incredible emotions. And we really would like to wish you not only to get a new digital story, but to meet your new friends, new partners, and of course to also compete for our prize, for our award prize, which is €5,000, and the other offers from our partners. So please follow this thread in Slack. We are going to tell you all about that. Also wanted to remind our teams that we had a very nice helping bill. We have the overall body of presentation, that one that we're going to give you in the finals. As soon as all of the teams are going to be created, you're going to have these guidelines as well. So I'm not going to take a lot of your time. I'm happy to be a part of this hackathon this time. I wish you all to be inspired, have all the stands. Please book the time with Mantis as soon as possible, as they say, and good luck. I'm really grateful to all of our teams for actually launching all of it and for being very active in all of their chats right now. So, ladies, the floor is back to you, and we're hoping for all of the teams to win.
Дякуємо, Настя.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Nastya. And I think so that's already a high time for us to start with our official part of the agenda. Well, of course, that was the official part of agenda as well, but let us now go to another part of agenda, because we have collected a lot of opportunities for you, and there's not only the House of Europe, but many other international organizations that support the preservation of Ukrainian cultural heritage and culture and architecture. And in order for our collaboration to be more productive and full and complete, we would like to inform you about the activities of the different international organizations in Ukraine now. And I would like to introduce you with our next speaker. So please welcome the head of the communication for the International Alliance for Protecting the Cultural Heritage in the Conflict Zone, that is called ALIPH. And ALIPH, and please welcome Sandra Bialystok. And the ALIPH has been helping Ukraine a lot. And so Sandra has been working in the different NGOs for many years and working with the different topics, from the cultural heritage protection to the rights of the employees. And right now, Sandra is interested in a way how the immersive experience can tell the different stories and develop compassion to the humanitarian goals. In 2022, Sandra has developed a traveling exhibition for ALIPH, Protecting the Heritage to Build a Better Future, and created the two VR experiences. One of them has been nominated for an Emmy in 2023. So that was incredible, Sandra, and hasn't been also awarded by the ASFI, that is a very important technological exhibition and conference, in 2019. Also, Sandra has been invited as a speaker for the UN and FSB Connect. She also is a PhD in philosophy from Toronto University, and she's a master from the Oxford University. I hope that you have a lot of questions for Sandra right now, and you would like to listen to what she's about to say. So I would like to pass the floor to her and tell us more about the ALIPH activity, and tell us more in what way ALIPH is collaborating with other organizations in Ukraine, and what are the opportunities that we have from here. Sandra, thank you very much for joining us.
People from lots of different places toward a common goal to think about new innovative solutions, especially to humanitarian crises, or in this case, to protect cultural heritage. So thank you to everyone who have joined up to participate in this. It's truly exciting and an important way that we can all work together to help protect cultural heritage in Ukraine. So I'll start by just giving a brief introduction to ALIPH. I know I had a presentation, so it would be the first slide of the presentation, if it's possible to put that up, please, on the screen. ALIPH is the International Alliance for the Protection of Heritage in Conflict Areas. We are the main global fund exclusively dedicated to protecting and rehabilitating cultural heritage in countries in conflict and also post-conflict situations. We're not very old. We were only created in 2017 as a response to what was at the time the massive destruction of cultural heritage, predominantly in regions like the Middle East and the Sahel. And we became in 2017 and then operational in 2018, a private foundation, but also with the status of an international organization. And right now we're all based in Geneva. We have an office of just 16 people. We were founded by France and the United Arab Emirates, and today we count 8 member states, Switzerland as our host country, and 4 private donors. And I should say that because of the support that we've been striving to give to organizations in Ukraine to protect their cultural heritage, we have also brought on board, new donors have come on board to support us specifically in those efforts. Could I have the next slide, please? We were founded to respond rapidly to protect cultural heritage, specifically in a time of war or in a time of crisis, with concrete solutions. So what does that mean? Next slide, please. Well, before a war breaks out, we provide projects. I should say that we're a granting agency. And so we have a fund of money and we receive usually the way it works is we receive requests for projects to be supported. We have a scientific committee that evaluates the merit of those projects, and then we award a certain amount of money for those projects to protect cultural heritage to come into place. So that can happen before a conflict. So this is a picture of a museum in Abidjan in Côte d'Ivoire, the Ivory Coast, that was changing their doors and windows and security before it was a little bit, things were a little bit uncertain because an election was coming up. And so we funded them to protect their museum before a conflict might happen. If I could have the next slide, please. We also provide a lot of support during a war. So this is predominantly the situation for the work that we're supporting in Ukraine, which I'll get to in a minute, and the various ways that we work with NGOs, museums, cultural heritage professionals in Ukraine, and also people such as yourselves, in order to put up projects that will tangibly and concretely protect, safeguard, stabilize, or rehabilitate cultural heritage. And finally, if I could have the next slide, please, we also fund projects after a conflict. So this picture is at the Mosul Museum. The Mosul Museum was famously destroyed by ISIS just before ALIPH was founded. And now we're funding a project to piece by piece put the museum back together again. And that means the building as well as the artifacts that were part of the collection. Can I have the next slide, please? So today, ALIPH, after just 5 years of operations, exactly 5 years this summer, in fact, we are now in a position where we have supported from 400 cultural heritage projects in 35 countries. Almost 200 of those projects are in fact in Ukraine. And about 1/3 of those projects have already reached completion. Could I have the next slide, please? So the work that we're doing in Ukraine, what does it consist of? Well, since really the early days of the war, I mean, just days after the war broke out or increased in March of last year, we've been in touch with Ukrainian and Polish heritage professionals, with national authorities, with international organizations, with institutions, with civil society, to understand what kinds of projects needed funding as soon as possible. Okay, we immediately earmarked an envelope of $5 million, which we have called the Ukraine Action Plan. And with that $5 million, we have spent almost all of it, and we're being refunded now for a new sum of money. We have funded about 167 projects. Okay, so what do those kinds of projects look like? Can I have the next slide, please? Well, these projects predominantly take place in museums. I know a lot of the people who are joining today are representatives of museums, libraries and archives, projects to take the inventory of your collections, to provide protective measures for those collections, to improve storage spaces. So we funded the upgrade of 9 major storage centers, but also other smaller storage spaces. Sites and monuments. We have funded projects that take satellite imagery and to document sites so that we know now what they look like, so that we can have data later if they need to be restored and rebuilt later on. 3D documentation of monuments whenever possible, as well as a lot of support to heritage professionals who are in the country. Financial means so that the people such as yourselves and your colleagues who are in Ukraine still have the financial means to continue doing their work. Can I have the next slide, please? Digging down a little bit more, some of the materials that we've provided. So as we all know, in the early days, in March, April, May, what was really required for a lot of collections of museums, of libraries, of archives were wooden crates to pack up collections so that they could be safely stored. So we financed the purchase of these boxes, or when these boxes were donated by museums or in countries around Europe, we financed the transport of those boxes so that they could get into the country and be used to safely store collections. To tackle the energy shortage that many institutions were facing, especially at the beginning of the winter, we purchased 151 fire extinguishers that were sent to various institutions around the country so that security systems, climate control systems, and so on could keep on running throughout the cold winter months. As I said, we also financed the upgrade of major storage facilities so that collections could be safely stored. 40 3D documentation and photogrammetry projects to really, in very high scientific detail, scan various monuments and sites so that we have excellent records of buildings, monuments, and sites that might be needed in the future. And as I said earlier, a documentation, monitoring, and analysis program using satellite imagery so that this information can also be used if and when rebuilding is needed at various sites after the war, and when it's possible to start to enact those kinds of measures. So this is just sort of an overall sense of what ALIPH's work has involved. All of these projects are, of course, in close collaboration with cultural heritage professionals in Ukraine, with NGOs, with local organizations. We do not decide what is needed. It is, we are here to support provide support in whatever way is required, and we're here to listen to you, to the cultural heritage professionals, about what is needed now and on the ground in order to protect the cultural heritage, the rich and vast cultural heritage that we all know is in Ukraine. So these are all, every one of these projects, nearly 200 of them is being done in close cooperation with our partners. And I should say that these projects are, $5 million is a healthy envelope of money, but so is, close to 200 projects. And so oftentimes in almost all cases, these projects are not kind of high ticket projects. It's often funds for $10,000 or $20,000 so that printers or scanners or other forms of digitization equipment can be purchased, or fire extinguishers or boxes or that kind of concrete material. So oftentimes the projects in terms of financial means, at least insofar as the kinds of projects that ALIPH funds, for us, these represent small sums of money. But they go a long way in order to making sure that the cultural heritage across the country in all its diversity can be protected as best as possible. So just to go to the last slide, what I would say is with this presentation, I hope you have a better idea of who we are, what our capacity to respond very, very quickly. When we get project requests, especially under the Ukraine Action Plan, they're often approved within 24 to 48 hours because we appreciate the fact that this is a war and this is a changing situation. And so funds are required quickly. And also that what we focus on are concrete solutions, really concrete projects to protect cultural heritage. So while the majority of the work that we have supported to date has focused on physically protecting artifacts, collections, buildings, we've also supported projects that use new technologies. Like in this picture, this is someone from a Ukrainian photogrammetry company who is doing a 3D scan of the interior of this site. So we do support projects that include new technology and innovative solutions to protecting Ukrainian heritage. So within the confines of this hackathon and what you're all going to be doing for the next few days, what I would say from ALIPH is we're looking for your ideas for complementary solutions to the kinds of projects that we've already funded, or new solutions that could extend the current scope of what ALIPH is doing and enrich the kinds of projects that we're already supporting, particularly around digitization or record keeping of existing documentation, databases, but perhaps also structures as well. And we are very pleased that my colleague, Darina, who has been working on the Ukraine Action Plan since the beginning, who is also Ukrainian, is here to be a mentor for the teams involved. So she'll be following you over the next few days, and we'll be able to answer any of the more kind of technical questions. And she's very knowledgeable about pretty much all of the projects, so she can also talk to you in more detail about that. So thank you again for including ALIPH, and we're here to listen.
Сандро, дуже дякуємо за цю презентацію та за інформацію про
Thank you very much, Sandra, for this presentation and for your information about ALIPH. I know that maybe people are already aware of your organization because ALIPH has been very active in Ukraine for the recent times. We're really grateful for all of the support that you have provided and definitely has an impact. And we're really happy that Darina Zhivoglядova, as Sandra has already mentioned, that Darina has joined us as one of our mentors and also jury members at Hatathon. And this is an important expertise power for us, because I think that a lot of people have already known Darina from the other organizations as well. We know that this absolute win-win situation for all of the participants. So thank you very much for being with us. So let us then go to another big organization that has joined our hackathon as well. And the one that we would like to introduce you to, or maybe I think a lot of people have already known about this organization already. This is the Europeana organization, and we're going to invite Sofie Taes, who has been working in this organization for more than 10 years, and she has been working in Belgium, in the Leuven University. She's focusing mostly on the international projects in the digital humanities and digital cultural heritage. In September last year, she also became the innovation manager for the new research consortiums that have been created by this university that works with innovative technologies and humanities. And starting from January last year, she's also become the head of the Europeana Association, and she is the member of the experts group of the European Commission that is responsible for the issues of the cultural heritage preservation. And as you all understand, and this topic is very important for us because we know that digitalization is the main direction of the work of our hackathon this year. So we're really happy that Sofie and her colleagues are going to be joining us this time. I'm not sure if we already have them with us. We're still waiting for a couple of seconds for them to join us.
Always
Колеги, вітаємо вас в ефірі нашого
So, dear
хататону.
colleagues, we're pleased to welcome you on air because I've already introduced Sofie. So I think Sofie can start.
Hi, Sophie. Are you with us?
I am with you. I hope you can hear me because my video doesn't seem to be working.
We can hear you great, actually.
That's okay. I think that we can put the slides, and that will be fine as well.
Perfect. Okay, guys, can you see my slides? Then we'll take it from there. Thank you. So good afternoon, Ukraine. Good afternoon, Ukraine. This is Sofie. I'm calling in today, yes, partly as a representative of the Leuven University, but I would say for this occasion, first and foremost, as the vice chair of the Europeana Network Association. And I'm joined here indeed by my friend and colleague Tom Miles, who is also representing British Library on one part and the Europeana aggregators on the other. And you will see later via video another friend of ours, Fulgencio San Martin, who is working at DG Connect, the Directorate General of the European Commission. Now, together we form a kind of a triangle that is at the very core of Europeana, and potentially you indeed know Europeana as the operator of the Common European Data Space for Cultural Heritage. I've come here with Tom today to talk to you a little bit about what is it that Europeana and the data space do? What is it that it could have to offer for you as lovers of heritage in general, of the Ukrainian heritage in particular, and maybe even being professionally active within this sector. But we're also going to zoom in on what we as a network of networks are trying to do to support you in these challenging times, in these times of crisis. And we can all imagine that indeed culture is maybe even the ultimate way for people to connect, to collaborate and to overcome great difficulties such as the ones that you're currently experiencing. And this is why exactly we are so excited, we are so grateful and honored to be a part of this event. Thank you, House of Europe. Thank you, Digitizing Space, for inviting us. And be assured we'll be with you throughout the week. So we're staying with you until the very end on the 30th of July, providing you with a special award. So one winner in the end will have a special Europeana nomination. I'll come back to that in a full circle at the end of the presentation. Now first I'll hand the floor to Tom Miles, who's going to give you a bit of the internal affairs at Europeana. What is it that we do and whom are we doing it for?
Excuse me, sorry. We have some things with the slides, so please just say to us when the next one will be, okay?
Okay, we're now at slide 2, if that's okay.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Hello, everyone. And I would like to say also thank you so much for asking us. It's a great pleasure to tell you a little bit more about the Europeana initiative. So Europeana is an open data platform, an initiative of the European Union, and it was established in 2008. And we publish millions of digital objects. I checked this afternoon, I think it was about 56 million and counting. And that is from over 3,500 galleries, libraries, archives, and museums, that's GLAMs, across Europe. And the main product of that is Europeana itself, the search portal, and also a suite of APIs. And we support the cultural heritage sector with its digital transformation. Next slide, please. Something that we're now working with is the data space. Now, the data space is for cultural heritage is one of many, as you can see here, also for manufacturing, agriculture, media, tourism, and others. And these are all initiated by the European Commission, and the data space project is for us to work out what can be, how we can make a shared data space really accelerate digitization for cultural heritage institutions, and making Europeana the backbone of that. So next slide, please. This slide, as Sofie was saying, this is really the three pillars of Europeana. So at the top is Europeana Foundation. Those are the people who actually work on the website, processing data, and many other types of work that they're doing. And then in the bottom left-hand corner is the Europeana Network Association. And these are members and people with an interest in Europeana. So they could be educators, they could be curators, or they could be students, researchers, all types of people who are interested in Europeana. And in the right-hand corner at the bottom, that's the aggregators forum that of which I am on the steering group. I'm based at the British Library, but I aggregate for Europeana Sounds, which is the audio domain aggregator. And if we go to the next slide, we can see the different organizations who are part of the cultural heritage data space project. There are too many to mention here, but you can see there are other aggregators. So Photo Consortium, Archive Portal Europe, European Fashion Heritage, Carrare, which is archaeological, Michael Culture, which is for museums. So that overall consortium is looking at this data space, thinking about how we can take it further, what the next steps are going to be. Next slide, please. So Europeana's engine runs on passionate people, and you can see that there are 3,750 network association members, and that is up from 2,000 in 2018. Altogether, there have been events for about 3,250 participants. And again, that was up from 2018. It was just 860 back in 2018. And also there are 40 accredited aggregators, and these split up into two main groups: the national aggregators, if member states have one, of which I think there are around about 28, and also around about 12 or 13 domain or thematic aggregators. And so the aggregator forum is a group of us who meet regularly and discuss how we can provide more metadata and over to Europeana, and what sort of commonalities there are, and what tips we can share with each other in the world of aggregation. And now I will hand back to Sofie, and thank you everybody for listening.
And thank you, Tom, for taking this on. Dimitro, you can move to the next slide, please. Well, people connect over passionate stories involving cultural heritage, for sure. They connect also over shared interests. So we have a wide network also of professionals in the sector that find each other over overarching themes that really go beyond the sector, I would say, into, and you can see it here on this slide, into matters of climate, of communication, of copyright, research, technologies, community building, impact assessment, and education. So any ENA member, any member of the network association is very much welcomed and invited to join one or more of these communities who work together on a small scale, but sometimes also long-term projects, and who organize exciting things, such as the Europeana Tech Conference that you could attend in The Hague or online later this year, 10 to 12 October. Next slide, please. Definitely, we couldn't do without data. And in the case of Europeana, data consists both of, I would say, collections or records and the stories hidden inside of them and in the connections between those objects. So what is it that you can find among all of those tens of millions of items already mentioned by Tom? Well, of course, there are images, but there's also sound bites, video clips, all kinds of scanned text documents. And now with we're growing our collection, especially in the realm of 3D. The interface is available in 26 languages, so we're trying to cater for as broad an audience as possible. And as for content, we're even pumping it up beyond that, and we're ever growing. So multilingualism is definitely one of our points of attention. Next slide. What's so special about Europeana as an environment to explore and to work and to get inspired by? Well, it's the authenticity, the attribution, and the accessibility of its items. So indeed, you get the information from each heritage institution, no matter where it is based or at what time the item has been contributed or in which context. You get the authentic information, the metadata that comes from the source. More and more, we're now also involving the crowd in enriching that information. So as Europeana is growing as an initiative, as a movement, as an operator of the data space, we want to involve you guys also as enthusiasts for these collections to contribute your knowledge. Attribution is important, so you know exactly by whom each of these items is created, in which context, and who holds the license. And this is especially important in the context of, for instance, this hackathon, that you know about each text, image, video, whether you can use it for public creations or not. And then finally, there's the accessibility. Would you want to visit the original collection an object stems from? Then there's always a link for you to get you to the data provider. Next slide. Voila, we invite you to not only surf to Europeana.eu. This is where you find the portal, I would say, the really attractive gateway to these tens of millions of items. You could find there the collections tab that brings you straight into collections that are accompanied by editorial features. So these allow you to immediately dive deep into a certain topic. Next slide. Or you can go for a specific type of editorial that you like. And I listed them here. We publish exhibitions. So this is really for someone who wants to get either a broad panorama of a certain theme, either wants to explore certain aspects that he or she didn't know before. We have blogs that go a bit deeper into a finer, I would say, granularity of topicity. And there are the galleries. If you're one for a consumption of images and of like indeed a showcase style of publication, then the gallery is your format. Next one, please. Important today is to express our continued support for Ukrainian heritage institutions. We've been standing in solidarity with the Ukraine from the very outset of the crisis, at which point we published, together with all these pillars and with our consortium partners, this statement of solidarity. Next slide. But we also established a working group which is kind of one of these communities that I showed you earlier, in which ENA members find each other to either exchange knowledge on existing initiatives, to instigate new actions, and to basically coordinate other streams of ideas that are emerging within the sector to offer support wherever we can. Next slide. I have here a slide containing a video that I'm going to ask Dimitro to play out in about 10 seconds. It's recorded by Fulgencio San Martin at DG Connect European Commission, talking about a very specific campaign that has been launched last May, reigniting the Laptops for Ukraine campaign, which was already running, but this time with a specific emphasis on the cultural sector. Dimitri, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Fulgencio San Martin. I'm a policy officer at the European Commission in the unit of Digital for Culture. Thank you for having me in such a contest. It's very cool, a hackathon. I participated in in a hackathon once, and I'm quite curious to see the result of this. That said, my apologies for not being present there. I mean, digitally present at least, but this is indeed one of the advantages of the technologies nowadays, that I can be kind of present, even if not really. Anyhow, you will be in the best hands with my colleagues from Europeana. I'd like to tell you that Europeana is being upgraded to the data space for cultural heritage. And as you can see, this wonderful image, or this one, they are coming from a data set contributed by the State Polytechnic Museum at the Kyiv Polytechnic Institute to Europeana. They are over 100 years old. They are from the beginning of the last century, and we are so happy to have them and preserved in Europeana. So in order to digitize all the immense heritage that you have in Ukraine, we made the Deputy Minister of your Ministry of Culture and Information Policy, Mrs. Anastasia Bondar, and she asked us for help, because you have around 12 million documents to be digitized that are only in paper, and that is a huge risk that we would be losing them. And I say we, not only you, it's that the whole Europe, the whole world who would be losing them. Now, after the meeting with Mrs. Bondar, the meetings, we were, I cannot say we were happy, because no one can be happy in this terrible and unfair war, but we were eager to help. So from the European Commission, I can say that we are very, very eager to collaborate and to extend this existing campaign that I'm going to show you. It is the campaign for laptops for Ukraine. This campaign is organized by your Ministry of Digital Transformation in Ukraine, and also by the European Commission. It is an initiative. At the beginning, it was for helping you to stay connected, because many electronic devices were either destroyed or left behind or very old and so on. So we were very, very eager to collaborate. So this campaign that has been running for nearly, I think, 8 months, was directed to small donations, so to particulars and so on, small companies, and also large donations by institutions. We added the third one, the culture donations, particularly for museums, so they can scan all this heritage that they have, and that is not only Ukrainian heritage, but also European heritage. So here is the new tab that we have added with all the information and the places where the laptops and the scanners and so on can be brought. So back to the competition, I would like to say just one thing. As I said, I already participated in a hackathon once, as a jury, actually, not as a participant. And I can say that this is a hint. Don't tell anyone that I told you. But this is a hint. Start with the data and the code and everything that goes with it. But think of telling a story. So look at the data, find where a story can lie, because a story will be remembered. The data is easy to forget, but tell a story with it, and the jury will remember far more easier than without the story. That's it. Good luck and all the best wishes from the European Commission.
Thank you very much, Dimitro. That was our colleague Fulgencio. Next slide, please. It's basically our last content slide. Voila. Being conscious of time, but we're running to the end anyway, I wanted to highlight how happy we are to be a part of this and what an occasion it is for us to enhance the support that we're hoping to give to the Ukrainian heritage sector. This hackathon is definitely such an occasion where we were honored to join you at this kickoff. We'll return tomorrow, myself and Alexandra Strezilovska from the Europeana Foundation will run a workshop on curation and storytelling. So if this is of interest to you, then tune in between 3 and 4 at our Eastern European and Ukrainian time. And then, last but not least, we're handing out a Europeana Digital Heritage nomination to one of the 10 final projects that make it to the Sunday night pitch. We can only encourage you to compete. We will reward you with an opportunity to share your winning project at the Europeana Tech Conference 2023. So you will be visible for thousands and thousands of European heritage professionals. And for 2 representatives of the winning team, we offer possibilities to join us live in The Hague. And I can only speak from a personal point of view that I would be extremely excited and much looking forward to meeting you there. That's it for us. On the final slide, I put a link to join the Europeana Network Association. It's free of charge, of course. We only ask you to make a short pitch for your interest in our network, and we'd be most happy to have you on board. Good luck to you all, and looking forward to see what you come up with.
Thank you, Sofia. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Fulgencio. And this was very motivating. Так, I think I should switch to Ukrainian. Yeah, because you have another translation. Так, я повторю, що ми дуже вдячні.
Yes, I will just say it again that we're really grateful to Europeana projects that they have supported us in a very fast pace and giving us some nomination as well. We're going to have the Europeana digital nomination, so you will also be able to win the participation in the Hague conference that is going to take place in October. The International Digitalization of the Cultural Heritage Conference that is going to take place in October. It's an annual event, very popular event, and it's a very good place to pitch your project, to find new contacts and new mentors. Thank you very much, Tom, Sofie. Thank you, Fulgencio, for all of your support and your impact. Tomorrow, again, Sofie has mentioned that already, but I just wanted to voice it out as well. Tomorrow, we're going to have a workshop from Europeana, and I also would like to ask you to join. It's going to be in English. We're not going to be translating it, but if you speak English, so please join that workshop tomorrow. So all of our program is going to be found on the link in our Slack channel. So we're going to once again send it to you today, so you will not be lost. And our community manager, Daria, is really worried so you would not get lost in our program as well. So I think we're going to let our speakers go, because right now we would like to invite you for the Q&A session, because we know that there are so many questions in the Slack right now. So if you will have the questions on the technical part of how everything is going to be held, if you'll have a question, what to do, how to join the team, where should you go to, how can you take everything, the best from the hackathon as much as possible, please let us know right now in the comments under our broadcasting, and our community managers are going to be giving all the questions to us, and we're going to answer all of our technical questions. We will give you a minute or two to have the questions, and we will give you some music by then, and we're going to see you back at our Q&A session in a minute. Thank you.
Я думаю, що ми можемо вже
So I think that we can start. And we have a couple of questions as of now, so maybe you will have some more questions coming later on. But if no, you know what to find us. You were all in Slack. We were going to be there the whole next week together with you, and you will have this channel that says to ask the organizers. We're trying to answer as fast as possible. We will be definitely happy to help you as soon as possible. So we have some questions, and Olga is asking us if I do not have an idea for the project, where can I get inspired? Olga, from my personal experience, and if I'm going to tell you how I'm doing this, you can just read out through the problem task. So maybe you can have some good help from some resources from like Google or the other resources on the topic of what is now going on with the cultural heritage in Ukraine. There's a lot of articles right now available, a lot of materials available for this topic, and trying to find something that you care about. Try to find something that you would like to improve. So that is the first thing and the first advice that I would like to give you, like the first way that you can do. Then the other way is you can go to the intro channel. There's a lot of talented people who are writing the interesting ideas and looking for people in their teams. Read out this channel from the very beginning. There has been quite a lot of ideas there already. And maybe if, for example, people are not needing somebody in their team, maybe they have just written this idea, you can just talk to them because, our platform is needed for you to communicate with other people. You can write them a direct message, or maybe you can join their team, or maybe you will have some other idea inspired by them as well, and you will go into collect your own team because we still have the time to talk to one another and to find your own team. So try to be proactive as well. And the third option will be you can go and take a look of what is already available in Ukrainian projects, what are already available from the projects abroad, what is the experience, for example, from the international projects you would like to use in Ukraine, what kind of experience, how it can be translated into Ukrainian realities. Also, get inspired by what you read, from the ideas of the other people and the introductions of the other people. So, the new ideas are the combinations of a couple of the other old ones. So, Ilona, maybe you would like to add something? What would be your advice? Well, that would be a very good advice actually from your side, because first of all, try not to be way too critical towards yourself actually at this very first stage, because even if you do not have even if you just have an idea or just a small part of idea, that's already counts. It's people sometimes think that they need to have a full project and they have to understand how it's going to work, but it doesn't work that way. In all of these projects that I'm working on as well, it doesn't start as a completed project from the very beginning. So I think it's a very good advice, to read out the materials on the main problem of our hackathons. So, the format of our hackathon, it is kind of a moment of the chaotic activity as well, because you don't know what you're being led to. But communicate with other people, let all of the other people who are you interested in Slack, who you thought are interesting people, just connect to them. Maybe something is going to be built out of this communication and acquaintance. So, this is in a way a boost of creativity that, you're starting with one thing and ending up with maybe something completely different. So at this stage, it's not like I don't have an idea or I don't have an idea. Try to think of everything that you have. And at this first starting stage, it is important to be open towards the external informational flow and to be open towards yourself as well. You know, you've had some certain interest in this topic as well. Something resonated with you. So right now you can use the different tools in just understanding what was it that got you interested. And I think that you still have some time to do that. And it's a good opportunity to do that right now. And I would like to add as well, tomorrow we're going to have the pitching day, and I do support with what Ilona has said that in this process you should not trying to be ideal because your project is going to be an idea, it's going to be modified throughout the hackathon. So you know that's going to be the answer to the next question. Can the concept of the project change during the hackathon? Yes. So you can start with one idea and you can talk to other people and you can talk to mentors. And in the end, your idea might transform into something different. That is the why we are making this collaborational format. So that is why we're trying to find the very good and relatable experienced mentors who are going to help you to get your ideas into some really interesting and useful project in the end. It is about creation and try to be very open-minded towards that as well. Because, you know, I have worked with startups for quite a long time because sometimes you might have some ideas inside of your mind and the person is already getting closed down to all of the other ideas, to all of the advice or to all of the professional advice that you have. Hackathon is not about that. It's about being open-minded, it's about listening to other people, and it's about having a clear and having a better understanding of how it can work in a different format. So that again, that would be useful and interesting for other people and relatable as well. And I would like to add up just one sentence to what Nastya has said.
Ідея, насправді в ідеалі в форматі
Answering the
хакатону
question that the project is going to change, ideally in this hackathon format, that this would be even the best way for it to do. That's what we're searching for. First of all, we really like when we have the teams with the ready-made ideas. It's important to listen to those ideas, and it's very cool that they're promoting their ideas. But for us, as an organizers, it is important to see this magic when people were not acquainted with one another, they didn't know what they wanted to do, and then something happened. And I'll be honest with you, on the side from the side of the organization that has started and continues this project, we're really happy and proud not only of this project that the hackathon has built and has created, but those connections that we're proud of, or with those teams and connections that have been created. Maybe they're working in different directions, but it's important for me that those teams work. So for me, the best compliment and the best acknowledgement of what we're doing, they said like, oh, we met each other at this hackathon and we are doing a lot of other projects since then. So that was one of the good ideas that we've had. If your idea is like that, is okay. If ideas stay the same, that's very good as well. But if you're going to change it and make something different, then that's okay as well. So even if it's going to change, that's okay. If it's going to change 180 degrees, that's also possible. Okay, thank you. The next question. The next question about the Europeana presentation. We're going to send all of the presentations into Slack, so you will be able to read all of those presentations there. Can you tell us more about the practical part? What is going to be happening? Well, Hackathon is made of the educational part that is going to be started on the 25th and 26th when we're going to be talking with the practitioners and we're going to get inspired directly. If you need to get inspired, that's for you to join because we have definitely invited the interesting cases from Ukraine on how the heritage can be preserved with the help of technology. So there we have really, really good speakers and practitioners who's going to be our mentors, the one that you'll be able to meet later on and to discuss their ideas with your project as well. The collaboration part is going to be from the 27th till the 29th for the 3 days when you're going to be working with the mentors. There's 2 types of mentoring help that we can offer. The one is the team mentors the team mentors would be the therapists of your team. So there's going to be helping you out throughout the whole process, and they're going to help you out to get through what we call the checkpoints. They're going to be supporting you and directing you, and they're going to be also supporting you and directing you to with the expert mentors that the teams need. So once again, the access to the mentors will be provided only for the teams that have registered for the project as the hackathon. So we are inviting everyone to participate in the educational part. For the mentoring part, only the project that has been registered in the database, and all of the timeline that's available in our Slack channels. As I remember, we have 90 projects as of now. There will be less in the finals because this is the work in progress. So basically that's a very interesting transformational processes, but that takes time, and this is something that you need to work with on together and to communicate with one another. So you will need to go through 3 checkpoints with the team mentors, and you will need to talk to the expert mentors. So we do not limit you to the amount of the expert mentors. That will depend on you, but I would like to ask you not to lose this opportunity, because usually these people, they're not available on a free of charge consultations. Their experience takes money, and so when they're giving you free of charge this time, and they're doing that free of charge, that is really honorable and something that we're really grateful to all of the members, all of the mentors that have joined us. Another moment, if you haven't found the mentor that you need according to your specifics, and that's possible as well, try to find this person that you can get advice of is also among our participants, because we have very different expertises among our participants, and you as participants, you can support each other in the different aspects. So we really, really would like to ask you to communicate. So, we want it to be not just a process between the mentor and participants, also mentoring from the peer-to-peer level, because we have the different expertises and interesting expertises altogether. So please help each other if you have the time. If you have, for example, been asked for support, please provide it if you can. And also when we have the semi-finals and
Може більше, подивимось, ми ще не закрили реєстрацію. І в журі відбирають...
we'll have 50 to 70 projects later on, and we will have the 10 projects in the finals, and the jury is going to choose them according to the projects that have been outlined. And we're going to have the finals, and the final is going to be held on the 30th of July.
Слухаємо самі сильні проекти, які вийшли.
We're going to then be discussing the projects that have been in the finals according to the jury evaluation and the mentors evaluation as well, and we have the final pitching and the final results. So I've answered the question on the practical part. Now there is the question on that Vitaly is asked how the projects have been developed and how we're going to show those projects. Vitaly.
В традиційних хакатонах, наприклад, є обмеження, що там вам потрібно
Usually, traditionally, we're saying that you need to already launch certain code or prototype that you're going to show us. The ideal option, the prototype, would be also interesting for us because we already be aware that you're doing something. The prototype is a very broad notion that might be some kind of the beginnings of the website, for example, that you have done in some of the no-pod tools, and we're going to have a workshop on how to use that in the framework of our educational program as well. There might be the prototype from just that you have just made out of paper, for example, when you're working on the 3D technologies. It depends on the creativity and the what project you have. So the project, we are asking the final projects to be presenting. We're asking them to write a short video, a very short video from their phone, when you are going to give us an explanation about your project. So what have you done in the framework of the hackathon? So that's all have been specifically outlined in our guidelines, and only the final projects are going to be presenting that online. Can we change the concept of the project? That yes, you've said that you can change. What is the timeline to do that? We do have some timelines that has been already scheduled in guideline recommendations, so please take a look at that. And also, please follow the announcements that we're going to have in the chats, and our Daria is going to help you step by step to cover that. She's going to be guiding you through that. So please do not afraid that you're going to get lost. We're going to guide you through all of that. And Ilona, there's a question for you. Anne is asking, how can we get the best of the hackathon? How can we choose which team to join, or should we start our own project? Well, that's a very good and a complex question. So you know how to get the best of the most of the hackathon. You know, the best secret has already been spoken by Nastya before, that in order to get the most of it, it's important to be proactive. There are some projects and the formats of work that are targeted onto working with something that has already been ready-made and to introduce that. You know, Hackathon is not that kind of a project, and the hackathon is not about that. Here, the projects that are going to get the most and the people are going to get the most is the one who's going to be inspired by this change energy the most, and the ones that you have gone through all of our tabs in the Slack, and you know, the one that are going to go to this 10 mentors of us, and you know, depending whether you need them or no. And you know, mentors do not like me for this kind of advice, but you know, for me, I am getting very inspired by this energy of the human communication. And you know, for me, I have ideas coming from very different conversations, and they're very different people. So you know, like sometimes you learn something new in a place that you least expect it. Or in order to get the most of it, you will have to give the most of it as well. So, and you have to invest the most of your time, but there are certain dividends coming out of it as well. You're going to get inspired, you're going to get inspired with people and projects. Should you start your own project? I think you will find the answer to this question on your own, maybe closer to this final registration deadline. I'm always supporting the individual projects. You know, I'm a very competitive person, and I think it's a very interesting thing. It's a one thing that you're working in this creative atmosphere that you know doesn't put a lot of pressure on you. But I know that like some of our winners might go to Hague. I know that for the most of the people in Ukraine, the Hague is now associated with a very different event that should take place there. But I think maybe there will be a very good inspiration for you as well. But then again, wanted to say that we're really, really grateful to our partners. We haven't planned that, but it's an important opportunity for hackathon to actually getting into the offline, and we're starting even that with this first nomination that is going to be awarded with a trip outside of our online edition. So I think that would be a very good thing for all of us as well. But if you're not even thinking about winning, so I do believe that your own project is a good opportunity for you to taste this opportunity not only as an observer but as an active participant, as a creator. That is the best actually, to try that as well. Maybe that will be very good for you, and you will understand that it's an interesting format for you to work, and you're going to be continuing this kind of project ahead on work further on. That would be my advice. Okay, and I see that Yaroslav was asking a question: what kind of pitch or presentation format of our video is the best? What to do if our team from the other cities? You know, we have the teams that are coming from other different countries as well. What should we do is, first of all, for the semifinals, you should make this 2-minute long video, and you can do that on Zoom as well. You can just, you know, record the presentation, how to do that, what should be highlighted in the presentation. We are also going to provide you the guidelines as well.
Slack-каналах прикріплені 10 разів.
Guidelines are available in different channels in Slack. And if you have not able to find it, Dasha is going to resend it to you, but I think it's impossible not to find them. You just have to scroll through this channel. There are those additional moments, you can see that we're trying to be very transparent in the jury's criteria as well. We're going to announce you with our jury. I hope just in a couple of days there's going to be representatives for the cultural sector and the technological sector as well. We're trying to keep the balance for the fourth hackathon in a row and trying to be very transparent in this procedure, so you can read out how it's being done in the guidelines of our Slack channels. Criteria of evaluation are there as well. What is the scale of the project? How can we understand that we're going to cover the implementation in the short-term period? Well, Anna, the scale of the project, if, for example, you have a very big idea, that would be good as well. We just have to understand what it is possible for you to do during the hackathon in the framework of this bigger idea. And to present the scale, present the concept of like small steps each day. What have you already done? What you're planning to do next? So as the IT industries would say, to divide it into sprints. The scale of the idea is something that is welcomed as well, if it's not just a big scale, but this good project in a smaller city, that is well a good project because this is something that is needed. And we have a lot of participants from smaller regional cities, and those kind of projects that are really unique and interesting. And even I will say, from my personal experience, and maybe Ilona can agree with me or not, but I know that the donors are really interested in this kind of a local projects in the smaller cities as well. Yes, there is this kind of interest for sure. And even before the full-scale invasion, the development of the regions was one of the high priorities for donors and for the others as well. So we've had that from our donors as well. So I think that speaking about the scale of the idea, how you see that, try not to limit yourself artificially. It's not like a giant idea to change the world or using the tools of the cultural digitalization. Well, if you have this idea, then yes, okay. But then try to develop a step-by-step plan of implementation or the roadmap plan so that we would understand that there is a certain road that you're about to take that in order to reach that goal. But also wanted to say, if your idea is a small one, then, I know that here we're going to have a different taste. And last time, for example, I do like the small ideas because they turn into big ideas then. But in my experience, the biggest idea grew from the small ideas as well. So it's more frequently when the smaller idea grew into something bigger than the big idea launched a bigger scale. But if you would like to do something good, then it's a good way for you to test out your idea and to invest in your team. The team is the most important thing that you have, and this is the opportunity for you to understand what kind of a direction you should go into. The first stage of the hackathon is about splash of creativity. First of all, think about what it is that you want, and then your team mentors are going to help you to maybe narrowing this topic down so that we will have the chances to get the support that you need. But first of all, try not to limit yourselves and decide how it's going to be made. If it's a big idea, let it be big. Thank you, Ilona. We have a couple of questions that are alike. First of all, the technical requirements for the presentation, the length of the video. So you will see that it will be all in all our guidelines. Please follow our Slack. There is the guideline, so you can read all of that there if needed. And what would be the deadlines for the development? And there will be two questions. Do we have any time deadlines for the implementations of the project? If a project is a long-time project, if you cannot complete it during the hackathon, but only to present it, can we actually present it? Is it a format of the hackathon? Our task throughout these 3 days to show something that you have done. So if you have had a certain presentation before and you have just came here for the semifinals just to upload this project anywhere, that doesn't work. So we are trying to find, we have the registration of the idea before, the work with the mentors and afterwards. And you're working with the mentors as well. And each of the team mentors, they're going to have the feedback for the team as well. If you had a big idea, the idea that cannot be completed during the hackathon. And this is the case for most of our teams, actually. We are not asking you, for example, to go through this back end, front end, and for you to have all of this like first stages of investment done already. We want you to work on improving your ideas, and we want to ask you to show some of the practical cases of the work with the mentors during this 3 days. The prototype, that might be just like a small prototype of a bigger idea, or might be a part of this prototype of the bigger idea that you would like to implement. The presentations, what you can tell us, you can tell us about the prototype and you can tell us about how it's going to be scaled. So this bigger part that you're talking about, what would you like to do? How much will it cost? What would be the terms and what would be the due dates for you? We're not going to evaluate for how many years you're going to be completing this project afterwards. That is going to be up to you for how long are you going to be working on this project. We're going to be evaluating about the different criteria. We're going to evaluate how active you have been working with mentors, how motivated you are, what have you done prototype-wise, whether your project can be scalable afterwards. So what can be used, for example, for preserving the cultural heritage afterwards. Yes, the next question was the question to Ilona. And yes, if I can add to the next question, that we want to see 2 things. And Nastya has mentioned one thing that was very important, that the progress that you have shown during the hackathon, and the other moment, and what is important for us to know, it's important for us to know what you're going to do with this idea after the hackathon. So you would just have to understand that ideally, we understand that there's a lot of people there and we don't have a lot of prizes. So the victory would be also for you if you will use this opportunity in order to test your ideas on the different people and to find some context and to build up the next step to take. Because we had many cases like this when people have prepared the idea during the hackathon, they were not able to complete it during the same time frame. But then this project has got back to us in a different collaborations, in a different iterations, in a different programs, and that was a very good result for us as well, and for you as well. Yes, I do support that. We're not doing that for ourselves. We're doing that for you. So we're giving you this opportunity. So please try to use this opportunity wisely. Then the project is just a symbolical thing for you as well. We just wanted to have a certain incentive for you, but that's not the main thing that you should target during the hackathon. So the previous participants can also say that to you that this is important. The next question would be, where can we see the times for the mentoring sessions to book the meetings? We're going to post that in Slack after the educational program is going to be completed and all of the educational projects are going to be registered. You will be able to see that there. Please follow Daria, our community manager. She's going to be informing you on that. Yes, Ilona, there is a question for you. From our air, I have understood that the projects that are going to be about digitalization of the cultural heritage will be preferred. What about the heritage that's been created now? Yes, thank you very much for this question. When I've mentioned that in our broadcast, I've also introduced you with a speaker and I was not able to say that, but I thought that, yes, I thought that that was a wrong thing that I've said. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to now amend what I've meant a little bit, because for us, an important focus is about digitalization, because we do believe there might be a lot of project with digitalization. That is a project, that is the need that we have right now. The people have asked us about that even before we launched the hackathon, because it was an interesting thing, and that's an interesting thing, and there is a need during the war. So there has been a lot of factors getting together with that. So that is what we think. We believe that there might be the projects like that. Maybe they will be prevailing, but that's our expectation. I mean, maybe even my expectation that it's going to be like that. I might be mistaken, and there might be more projects about preserving something that is being done right now, then maybe that even would be better. Anyway, that is a good option as well, because the hackathon is about your project, first of all. And we have set out these topics, and we wanted to work on these topics, and it will be very interesting for us and important. But you're going to fill this framework with the projects that are important for you. So we didn't have this kind of a specific focus that is going to be the most important. That's not what we have thought about. It's a different format. It's not like we wanted to see only the project about digitalization of the cultural heritage. There's different spheres and different sectors and ideas coming from different places. We're really happy to help those projects as well. And if you have had some doubts, maybe if your ideas are mostly connected to the current times than the past, then I just wanted to reassure you that it will just depend on the quality of the project. Thank you, Ilona. And I'm going to get to the next question. Are we presenting the ideas or the project with the implementation plan? I'm going to present you. You're starting with an ideas. You are presenting as the prototype and what you have worked on and how you plan to be moving forward. And if you have a ready-made project, then we're not going to limit you to that. But you are giving us the understanding how you're going to be working next on that. And it's not going to be fair if you're going to come with a ready-made project and just presenting that to us. We're not presenting the projects. We're talking about the new collaboration and work with your team and with the mentors. To what scale the project should be presented? So the development of the MVP will require some time. Again, that should be the prototype. You might take some kind of a platform or an engine and try to do that. So like trying to prototype it. How to find a team? Again, in Slack. So first of all, you go into the intro tab in the Slack. So there's a lot of introductions there. Then you're informing our community managers, because our community manager is posting the vacancies for the team that are already available, running through these vacancies or talking to other people about their project as well. Another moment, introduce yourself. Just like let everyone knows what you're doing. Try to be proactive in Slack and the team will find you as well. Try to work for the both of the fronts and try to be interested in the ideas for the people, trying to understand how this team works, whether there is something that is close to you and to your ideas, can you join them or no. So the more you're going to be doing that, the more proactive you'd be, the more opportunities to find your team you will have. Okay, when we're talking about searching for the team, so there will be the further collaboration after the hackathon, or it's only the team for this very specific project. That depends on you. That's on you. If you want to have this hackathon experience, if you want to learn something new, if you want to work with the new people, if you want to exchange the experience that you have or to teach other people something, or if you just want to join some kind of a very good idea and you didn't have the time for that in your everyday life, that's up to you. But if you get inspired by these projects and you're going to find it as a joint team in yourself to implement it, I think that it will be great. And I just wanted to say that, we not just like we can answer you with that 100% sureness, but I think that's even you or other people will not be able to answer that for sure. Because we have certain plans, but the life has completely different plans. Because, right now the situation is unstable and, our current conditions, they have shown it in the full scale. Like, you never know that maybe the people that you have met during this hackathon that are going to be working with you further on. So the first thing is just like, to go through this hackathon with a team, and maybe people will be motivated to work together. And it's quite possible, and this is one thing that I really like about it, maybe you will find here someone who would like to continue working on some other project as well. As a project manager with around 17 years of experience already, and so I want you to know that, so the team is like 80% of any kind of projects that you would do. So that is very important, as important as the idea is itself. So you're building here the connections, and it's up to you what you're going to be doing. So yes, we will not ask you to swear that you're going to be working on the project for the next couple of years to come, but if it's going to happen like that, that's cool. And I think that may be the final question from Елизавета. If I have registered one project, can I change the project for the different project right now? Yes, you can change the project with the other projects up till the 27th of July, till the moment when the database is going to be closed. So during the educational programs, you still have the times to get inspired. We really would like to invite you for tomorrow and the day after tomorrow to join us in the educational program, to listen to what they're about to say, to ask the questions to the speakers, take a look at the program that we have. It's very interesting. And there are some people who you should have some questions to. If after this communication, you will have your idea changed, you will have the opportunity to re-register the idea, register once again till the 27th of July. So I hope to see everyone for the day one of our educational program, and that will be again the announcement from our side. First of all, we're going to have the English speaking workshop from Europeana about the storytelling and technologies, and there will be a very interesting speaker with a tremendous experience and international experience. So I would like to also advise you to join this workshop, and also to have the new acquaintances made. That's something definitely what's going to be useful for you, for sure. Then we're going to have the 2 blocks on the immersive technologies. Tomorrow we're going to have the first block on the digitalization of cultural heritage and the technologies. If you have been with us last year, we have raised this question deeply last year. So this year we have invited the speakers, the one that are going to help us to understand how can we use the technologies in our projects. On 26, we're going to have a very intense day. I'm sorry again. The English speaking workshop is going to be on the 26th. Tomorrow we have the digitalization of heritage, blockchain technologies, an important block that we have included, the one that is titled the open mic, the pitching of ideas. You can participate there as a speaker, and you can tell us about what it is that you have as a project. If you have some doubts, you can have like an open mic. It's not going to be streamed. It's going to be just let us say, a discussion field, a discussion format. And then we're not going to be saying whether your idea is good or bad, because it's not going to be fair, because there's no bad ideas, but maybe we can help you and guide you, or maybe inspire you to get registered, because we're all inspiring everyone to get registered as well. So that will be tomorrow on the 26th. That would be Wednesday. That will be the day 2 when we're going to have the Europeana's workshop on storytelling and technology. Then we're going to have the sessions on the artificial intelligence. It's a very hot topic today, and I would like to invite everyone to join that. And the immersive technologies, the 3D scanning, the VR, the augmented reality. And we have invited the projects that have been doing very interesting things all around Ukraine to join us. The whole program is going to be in Ukrainian, except for the Europeana's workshops in the morning. It's going to be held in English. So that's it. Ilona, I'm passing the floor to you to go with the conclusions for today. And also I hope that we will see a lot of energetic people tomorrow in the first day of our hackathon. Okay, thank you, Nastya, and I think it's a very good closing words. Thank you very much for everyone who has been listening to us. Thank you very much for everyone who's going to join us tomorrow. No, I feel like a president, but we really believe that it's important. We're really grateful that even under those hard circumstances right now, you have this desire to create something new, because that's very important. Because, I believe that this desire to do something better will help us to go through all of this. So thank you very much for having this desire. Thank you very much for organizing, to our team, to organizing all of that. That was really hard, but we made it. I'm really happy about that. So really, we're really grateful, and we hope that you will use all of those opportunities that Nastya has already mentioned. Try not to be overly modest. This project is hoping for you to open yourself towards your new experiences. So hope to see you tomorrow, and I think that's the most important thing for today. Nastya? Yes, thank you very much to everyone. Please check the guidelines and also join us tomorrow. That's all for today. We'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye. Goodbye.